From distant lands we gather, hearts of fire all along. Oh, big Nick, cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. Warriors of the ancient sea, songs of glory dark and bold. In the night, our spirits free, legends born, tales unfold. Oh, big because we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight. From horizons wild we roam, with thunder in our soul. Every battle brings us home to the stories ages told. Oh, big Nick, cause we follow through the storm and through the fight. For Valhalla we will borrow strength and might under moonlight.
Hey folks, how are you all doing? How are you all doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Oh, live stream. I haven't had those in a few days now because of work, prior commitments, and current commitments. It's been a bit rough for me to live stream, but it's midnight where I am. I've done all the things I needed to do during the day, and I got myself a little sleep. What's going on all over here? Now, we've been covering the Faust trial, the 2001 cold case where a 23-year-old law student was brutally ended in her house, room, dorm. And the state chose to charge a guy based on a DNA match, and a DNA match alone. His liquid DNA was found, according to the state. I have some questions now, 4 days in, allegedly in orally and vaginally. That's it. That's what they had when they arrested him for this, and nothing else. And male liquid DNA has a 3 to 5 day lifespan, which means that could have happened 3 to 5 days before she was brutally murdered. At the same time, they had her boyfriend, who was, according to a witness we will listen to today, they had a sudden noticeable break on New Year's. The murder happened January 19th, 2001. And just to make, well, his DNA, liquid DNA, is also in the victim. And he lied about meeting her 10 days, within 10 days of her murder. Denied it. He denied it for 23 years. Almost up until trial. He denied it. No. No. And just now, what else did they have? Now, when his liquid DNA was found in her, what else besides an apparent maybe breakup less than 3 weeks before during New Year's? What else is against the then boyfriend? Well, these are his hands, photographed January 21st, 2001, 2 days after the victim was murdered. The victim was brutally beaten, then strangled with an electrical cord. According to the state's medical examiner, she was raped. Backdoor raped. His liquid DNA was found in her back door. You would assume that when the retesting of everything in 2023, I believe, which found his liquid DNA in the opening that was raped, according to the medical examiner, that they would pick him in and ask, "Why did you lie, you son of a..." Oh, no, they didn't. Because the other DNA... Oh, by the way, white guy. The other DNA came from a black guy. So, of course, with only the liquid DNA, despite all of this, it has to be the black guy. Right? Has to be. She's white. Her boyfriend is white. Has to be the black guy. Now, the state has brought forward witnesses that says, "Oh, we saw a black guy walking in the area." Well, turns out it might have been more than one. In bright orange, either shirt, hoodie, or jacket. Bright orange. Now, did they check, was there some type of road work or construction going on nearby that may or may not have made there was a working crew around? Did they check for that? Fuck no, they did. Why would they? Why would they? Why would they check stuff like that? This guy, oh, he has an alibi. His best friend and his parents. Because apparently in Clark County, Georgia, it's unheard of that friends and family protects friends and family. In Clark County, Georgia, it is unheard of that boyfriends, partners, husbands murder their spouses after a breakup. Apparently, it's unheard of, especially if there's a black guy close by. If there is a black guy close by in Clark County, has to be the black guy. Fuck the evidence. This case pisses me off, not just because of how ridiculous the evidence is thus far, but how the judge acts. Did you know that the judge has still not made judgment on a majority of the defense pre-trial motions? Did you know? Now, I brought this up in a prior video. Sorry. Did you know that she fined the defense attorney for the audacity to replying to the state's case? Now, Georgia has a grape shield law that says you can't bring up a victim's sexual history. There's an exception to that. If the state involves her sexual history in their case, yes, of fucking course you can bring it up. Especially if the boyfriend's liquid DNA is in the victim and he lied about it for 23 years that he was with her within 3 to 5 days, that his hands looked like this 2 days after the murder, that his only alibi is his parents and best friend, because they didn't check out if he was actually at work that day. They took his word for it. Because he's white. In a predominantly white area. And there's maybe a black suspect. Fuck the evidence. So, the defense, for the audacity to replying to the state's the state's case is, well, the boyfriend's was consensual, but his was rape. Because what white woman would ever have sex with a black guy voluntarily? Unheard of in Clark County, Georgia. Am I? Yes, I'm using hyperbole. Yes, I am. The point is, there is so much evidence against the boyfriend. And the lead investigator in this case helped the boyfriend to concoct a story to why his liquid DNA was in her, even though he lied for 23 years about seeing her close to the date of the crime. There's so much in this case that's pissing me off. I made a bunch of videos on it. You can go check them out. Big Nick needs the views. Today, a few things happened. I'm going to focus on one thing. Oh, wait. Here. Not Jen the Couch Fairy asked, not that he has to, but does the defendant have any explanation for the fluids found on victim? The defense has so far claimed, prove it. Prove that this was grape and the other ones wasn't. Prove which one of the liquid DNA was the grape, especially if the boyfriend's liquid DNA is found in the area that was graped. So, the one thing I'm going to focus on here, I might go into other things that happened today, is the roommate or best friend or whatever's on the stand explaining what she believed happened and how her words came back to kick her in the ass. Now, folks, I understand her. She wants to help her friend. She wants justice. And this is all on the prosecution, because it seems like the prosecution doesn't care if the witnesses lie, as long as they can get a conviction out of it, or misremember, or not remember. Instead of being an ethical prosecutor who tells the witnesses, don't add, don't remove, just testify to what you remember. That's it. But it's apparent to me that the prosecution couldn't be bothered. All right, so let's listen to the friend.
All right, thank you. You are free to go. If you are under subpoena with the defense, then you are still under subpoena, but you may leave now. Thank you. You may call your next witness.
Valerie Lowe.
You please get Valerie Lowe.
Yes, the pics of the boyfriend's hands is in evidence for the jury. And the boyfriend is on the state's witness list and on the defense witness list. And I believe that the state will call the boyfriend to, I don't know, limit the blow. But yeah. The boyfriend is a real problem for the prosecution, because a possible breakup, his liquid DNA in the area that was raped, and him lying about it for 23 years. I've seen convictions on much less. Hey, Nicole.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Can I have you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in the matter pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And if you could just be sure to speak into that microphone so that we can hear you. If I can't hear you, I'm afraid the jurors might not be able to. Ma'am, if you could start out by stating and spelling your name for the record.
Valerie Lang Lowe, Valery Langlowe.
And ma'am, what do you do for a living?
I'm a district administrator in a school district.
I want to take you back to August of 2000. What were you doing at that time?
I was student teaching at Oconee County High School.
Were you in college?
I was.
Where were you in college?
University of Georgia.
Beginning that August of 2000, did you move into a new residence?
We did, yes.
And what was that residence?
We lived in Deer Park on Fulham Drive.
Who were your roommates there?
Tara Baker and Ashley Peavy.
Tara Baker is
how
the
did
victim,
you
by the way.
Come to know Tara?
I had met Tara probably sometime the year before. Ashley and I lived together the year before, and so I met Tara through Ashley.
And can you describe, I guess, what it was like to get to know Tara as a roommate, as opposed to a friend or an acquaintance?
We all got along very well, and I mean, we were all very busy, either in grad school or finishing up college at the time, and we were just all busy. So we all got along fine, and everybody kind of did their own schedules.
Okay. And if I didn't clarify this earlier, in that fall semester 2000, did you graduate that December?
I did graduate in December.
And then did you start a graduate program in January?
I did. I had started my master's degree.
If you could please, ma'am, describe what you observed about Tara as it relates to the fall semester.
Um, my schedule was different in the fall because I got up early to go for student teaching. So I was gone a lot. I know she had started law school, and so her schedule, she was busy. So we really, didn't. I mean, we were home in the evenings together, but we again, everybody had their schedule, and we were extremely busy, all of us, that particular semester, especially.
During the fall, would Tara occasionally spend the night at her boyfriend's house?
Yes,
And by boyfriend, do you mean Chris Melton?
yes.
Would there be times when Chris would spend the night over at Fawn Drive?
I don't recall.
As you transitioned from the fall semester into the spring, or I say spring, but January semester, did you notice a kind of a change in Tara's approach to law school?
She had made comments that
And
Yeah, my initial rant, according to the YouTubes, that put my monetization on limited. Of course it did. No worries, folks. I'm used to it. Because even though this is I've been doing this for over 3 years now, commenting on trials and cases. My language is what you would call free-spirited. I curse. I use the words. I try to censor myself for monetization reasons, but sometimes I just can't. And then YouTube punishes me by making it limited, which will also affect the view count, because this stream will now not be promoted to viewers. Welcome to my show. So, if you want to help me break through the YouTube censorship ceiling, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share on social media. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I don't want you to testify to anything that she may have said, but just did you get an overall impression as to her approach to law school?
Yes, she'd started another semester. I was starting grad school, so I think a lot of our patterns had changed just because it was a new semester.
Okay. And what change was that, if you can recall?
Probably at home more. I know I was at home more.
What about Tara?
Same. Mhm.
So on Thursday the 18th, do you recall what your schedule was like that day?
I had class when I started my grad program. A lot of my classes were in the evenings, so I would have been home, and I think I left sometime before maybe 4 o'clock or around 4 o'clock. I can't remember the exact time, and I had class that evening till probably 7:15 or 7:30, I believe.
And what did you do after class?
I was going home for the weekend, so I immediately started heading in that direction when I left.
So you didn't go back to Fawn Drive?
I did not.
Did you see Tara that day at all?
I don't remember. I think that she probably got home the time I was leaving. I don't remember.
Ma'am, what, if anything, do you remember about the weather that evening as you were leaving town?
It was very rainy. I do remember that. Just driving in the rain and, it being dark, but I just remember that it was raining.
I want to talk about kind of the relationship between the three of you in that house. How did the three of you get along as roommates?
We got along great. Ashley and I had lived together the year before, and it was no different when Tara moved in. I mean, we all got along great. There was no girl drama or anything like that sometimes can come along with roommates.
Were you careful to look out for one another?
Yeah, we were all safety conscious about, things being, locked and, that kind of thing. I've always been that way.
Did all of you have boyfriends at the time?
Yes.
Did anybody give an apartment key or a house key to their boyfriend?
I have no knowledge of that.
Why would that have been?
I don't think that they would have ever been at the house. There would be a time.
Any response to the objection?
I'll rephrase the question.
All right, I'll sustain it. Let you rephrase if you choose to.
Based on the relationship that the three of you had, you, Ashley, and Tara, would you have given a key to your boyfriend at the time?
No,
Why not?
there would have been no reason for him to have been at the house if I would not have been there.
Based on your impression of the relationship, again, that you shared with Ashley and Tara, was that consistent throughout the house?
I would assume yes.
Ma'am, I've been told that, well, let me rephrase. Were you the one that would keep the house clean?
Yes.
Can you describe that a little bit?
I was just the clean one of the group. There's always one, I guess, when you live with roommates. And so I was the one who would clean and tidy up the house. And just that was something that I enjoyed and still enjoy doing.
Do you remember, or if you recall, in the days after Tara's death, do you recall hearing about certain parts of the house being wiped down or anything like that?
I do remember hearing that.
What if anything, do you recall about that?
I think at the time it was more about, fingerprints, or they were, doing whatever you do after something like this happened, and the house was clean and things were, wiped.
Do you recall what areas of the house they were referring to?
I remember they asked, certain patterns of cleaning, if, I would have cleaned this or cleaned that, that kind of thing. But it was, maybe doorknobs or around the doors or windows, that kind of thing.
And is that something that you would have cleaned?
Not typically. I mean, I kept things dusted and vacuumed and just your normal thing, but I didn't like deep clean the house all the time.
Dr. Lowe, we'll talk a little bit about your observations of Tara's relationship with Mr. Melton. Is that something that she would have confided to you about?
No, we didn't have that kind of relationship. I was private, and I would have never, we didn't talk about that kind of thing.
Did you ever personally observe any arguments between Tara and Chris?
I did not.
Listen how she talks well about the relationship and how she didn't notice anything, and yeah, this might change during cross-examination.
Did you ever hear Tara arguing on the phone with him?
I did not.
Bear with me just a second. I have Mr. Cruz may have some questions for you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was it from the stage. Just to bring her on and tell the jury how swell everything was between the victim and her then boyfriend. Let's listen to cross-examination.
Examination.
Dr. Lowe, first and foremost, I want to let you know I am sorry for your loss, tremendously sorry for your loss. I thank you for your courage in coming to testify in court to help the jurors find the truth in this case. My first question for you, are you nervous?
I mean, I think anybody would in this situation.
I tell you, don't be. I have some very softball questions for you. That's okay.
Hi, Dave.
Um, there was a statement that you made to law enforcement that I wanted to ask you about. Do you recall stating it was almost like somebody knew that we weren't going to be home?
If you'll show me the transcript, I can.
I have a
Here's how I know she was prepared for this. A normal witness would say, I don't really remember that. Remember from the Karen retrial, how the lying sacks of shit. Now, I'm not calling this witness a lying sack of shit. This is just a prepared witness. And she immediately asked for the transcript. Immediately. Yeah, the Jen McCabe defense. She knew this was a possibility. She was prepared with that answer. When I heard this, when I listened to it live, this was the first thing that came to mind. Oh, Jen McCabe. I do believe only the victim was in law school. I'm not sure what she majored in, or actually, I don't know what she studied at all. Nicole Spashek agreed. I have no ill will towards this witness, except that the boyfriend is still probably best friends with her hubby. Yeah, this home with 3 roommates and their boyfriends were quite tight at the time. There is a strong possibility that the victim's ex-boyfriend is still friends with her husband. Now, I don't think this was brought during cross-examination, but it's very, very interesting, to say the least.
transcript, but I can play the recording for you. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. Your Honor, excuse me. Would the recording refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Your Honor, I like to play the recording outside the presence of the jury.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you go into the jury room. Please don't discuss the case.
Now, here, I understand why. This is almost exactly how it went down the other day with another witness playing the recording, but then it was denied as impeachment. All of a sudden, today it seems like the judge woke up on at least somewhat unbiased mood, because this judge has been a cahoot the entire trial towards the defense and pre-trial. But today, she woke up. I don't know what happened. Maybe her, yeah. I will not speculate on which side of whose bed she woke up this morning, but wherever she woke up, it made her into a better mood.
We'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, she's a prepped witness. Witnesses really don't answer that way. Now, if this would have been a lawyer witness, yeah, I would find it reasonable with a reply like that. She's not a lawyer. Now we're going to hear what she said to launch it, I believe, the day after the murder. Which may or may not be vastly different from her testimony.
Issue with Ms. Satterfield's equipment.
Yes,
So if you just hang tight for a moment.
yes, ma'am.
And actually, yeah, let's just hang tight for a moment.
All right, let's skip ahead a bit.
Questions come from.
All right, back on the record. Mr. Cruz, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. And if I may, Your Honor, a lot of my questions come from this recording, so I just like to play that pertinent part, so we won't have to send the jury in and out. '24 for you. And just to save the jury time and respect honorable court's time until minute mark 31:52. Is that fair?
No, the only thing that and this is probably in some of the notes from way back when, I think like New Year's, like I always came home for breaks and stuff, like I'm a little homebody, but we went to, Ashley and Chris and Jeff and I went to Hilton Head for New Year's, I think. So we came through Athens, maybe to pick them up or something, and Tara was there, and we were like, what are you, why are you here by yourself, kind of thing, it's a holiday,
This is of 2001, right? Or like 2001 and 2001.
yeah.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, I'm gonna go, or maybe it was, I don't even remember, it may have been right before Christmas. At some point during the holiday we went to Hilton Head just for the weekend, and she was there, and we were like, Tara, why? It was New Year's, because we wouldn't have been gone for Christmas, and we were like worried about her being there, like, you need to go home and be with your family, like during break or whatever. Like, we just were shocked that she was there. And we went on our trip or whatever and came back to school in January or whenever classes started back. But when class started back, we hadn't been there like 2 weeks, because I had just graduated in December and I was starting my master's in January at UTA. We had not been back whatever week or week and a half, whatever all that was, when all this happened. She hadn't been going to Chris's house at night. So when I say she went there that often, it was weird that she was at home.
Oh,
That's not what you said during direct examination. That it seemed to be this clear break. But from before you went on this 2-week vacation and came back. To the extent that you thought it was weird.
okay. So I didn't catch that earlier. Like, she was at Chris's house like almost nightly.
It was a lot.
Okay. Okay.
It was like for that, but like I said, I can only speak to like
3
first
months,
semester.
yeah.
I don't know, what her life was like before. But when we came back from break, and Ashley will tell you the same thing, there was a significant change in that. But again, like, that's her business. We didn't want to ask any questions, and I think maybe Ashley or maybe did say, are y'all okay? And so maybe they were having a tiff or whatever. But Tara was really private about her life and details, and that kind of thing. But there was definitely a change when we came back in January. She was not spending she wasn't spending the time she had been spending at Chris's,
Okay.
which is, why everybody was like wondering if something was going on. But we, like I said, we didn't pry, we didn't ask, that was her business. We just said her, basically just checking on her. And Ashley, she may have explained.
Now, why would her female roommates not inquire what happened, but still checking in on her? It's almost as if they knew something bad happened and they wanted to give her time to tell them herself what happened. So they just checked in on her. Now, I have 4 sisters. I have had my fair share of breakups. To me, that says there's been a breakup or something really bad happened between them. So they are checking in on her. Am I wrong, folks? I don't think so. Now, again, as I said on my videos and in this earlier in this stream, it's not that uncommon in murder cases that just before the murder there's a breakup. Let me show you the boyfriend's hands 2 days after the murder. With his liquid DNA in the area that, according to the medical examiner, was raped.
Bulged Ashley we had a tiff or a
Sure.
fight or whatever.
Yeah.
I
But it
just-
was like a noticeable shift.
definitely.
Is that fair to say? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, it was definitely a shift. And like I said, you can go back to the notes of when all that, and I'm sure that
I'll have to go.
we said the same thing, because it was just, like I said, I can't remember a lot of things, but I remember the details of a lot of this that were just very vivid to me, that something wasn't right.
And she was a very private person.
Yeah, she was, she wasn't one to overshare what's happening in life. And maybe to Ashley, maybe she confided in her more, because they were friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Were you aware of any of her sexual life with?
I'm going to fast forward to get to the next portion that I'm going to ask you questions about, okay?
Yeah, I get the question, when was this interview done? And I believe it was just a day or 2 after the murder. Yeah, I will give this witness the benefit of the doubt that she does mean well. She wants justice for her friend. But that doesn't excuse making shit up on the stand. She should have been told by the prosecution, don't add things, don't remove things. Just testify to what you actually remember. And they didn't.
Hey,
Okay, they are playing a new part of the
more so
interview.
probably day to day, doing stuff together, hanging out, because Tara was always doing the law school thing and studying.
Okay.
And, and I think going back to the whole Chris and January thing, I don't know. I remember one of the things she said was oh no, I'm just trying to buckle down and I'm basically, she needed, that was a distraction for her. And she was buckling down on her studies was kind of the way she blew off, when we checked on her to make sure she was okay. just
Okay.
because her behavior had changed. And not her personality or anything like that. It's just like, no, I'm
Like
just,
her routine.
I'm just, yes. And I mean, if you live with somebody and something's completely.
The last portion that'll be a part of the examination, Ms. Lowe, Dr. Lowe,
Just like you left thing, and she was
And now another part of the interview.
like, I don't see anything that's missing, like from your stuff. Everything looks just like you left it. It was like in perfect shape, like nothing.
Oh yeah, they are claiming that the defendant breaking, entering, and robbing the house. There's literally nothing of value missing from the house.
Gone. I mean, I even had like, there's big jars you throw in money and change, and I even had like that in my, like, if they were coming there to rob us, they would have. I mean, I
Had a
had
field day.
expensive jewelry. I had purses. I had like, I mean, they could have taken a ton of stuff, but nothing.
recognize your voice?
Yes,
Is there a recollection?
yes, those are my statements.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Trying to make good use of everybody's time.
Yes.
I think this is probably a good time to address Mr. Cruz's residual hearsay motion.
All right.
I would say that the state does not oppose him asking what I-
All right, let me get the residual hearsay motion, though, that you're talking about, because there were 3 that were filed. So. All right, so Mr. Bolden, you're talking about the pending motion that the defense filed on January 20th with regard to Dr. Valerie Lowe Lang. Is that right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and your position is?
We don't oppose that motion.
All right, any response?
No response.
All right, then I will grant it. Motion was filed, the state does not oppose it. All right, anything else before we bring the jury back?
No, ma'am.
All right, could you bring the,
Yeah, the state doesn't oppose this because everybody involved here knows that if the judge were to grant the state's or deny the defense motion of residual hearsay, that would be an automatic appeal. Automatically. I mean, the case law is clear on residual hearsay when it comes to the statement of this witness who knows and lived with the victim in a police interview, talking about what happened prior to the murder.
jury back, please?
Yeah, she's not from Canton. Her memory doesn't get better with time. Yeah, but there are some witnesses in this trial who's clearly tries to say, yeah, but I remember better now. It's been so some. One of the witnesses from another prior day in the police interview said, a bright shirt. But since another witness stated it was a orange bright jacket, on the stand, she suddenly changed her mind to hoodie, sweatshirt, jacket, whatever. That was, by the way, when the judge denied the impeachment of her testimony, even though she clearly changed her mind between the police interview and on the stand. It's almost the same situation, but here the judge, yeah, I'm going to allow it.
He just wants to see the motion. I have written at the top of it my order, but you can show that to the state, Mr. Young. Michelle, you can take a look.
Okay, jury's back in. Here we go. impeachment time.
Dr. Lowe, you would agree with the statement that the day that Miss Baker was killed, it was almost like someone knew that you and Ashley weren't going to be home. Is that correct?
Those are my statements.
I can't hear you.
Those are my statements, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Suddenly she remembers. It was weird. Because apparently in this household, when nobody was supposed to be left behind alone in a big house, everybody went home, they went on vacay together, or at least make sure that nobody was alone in the house. Except January 19th, 2001, where everybody in that house knew she would be alone, including the boyfriend.
Can you pull the mic up? Thank you. And the reason you said that is because it was rare for both you and Ashley not to be home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'd like to discuss your observations of Chris and Tara's relationship. Is that okay?
Yes.
During the first semester of during the first semester of school, Miss Baker, Mrs. P.V. Hall, and yourself, you all stayed together at 160 Fun Drive. We would agree on that.
Yes.
Okay. You would agree that during the first semester of school, Miss Baker would always be at Chris Milton's house. Is that fair?
I can't say always. Often. A lot.
Do you recall telling Investigator Black, first semester of school, she would always be at Chris Melton's house all the time, like every night. It seemed like she was never at home. And then when we got back for second semester, Tara wasn't doing that anymore.
That's concurrent with what we just heard, yes.
Well, no, that wasn't on what we just heard.
Right,
That's a separate. Okay.
Yes.
But you agree with that statement?
Yes.
And you would have no reason to disagree that the first semester of school entailed August of 2000 and December of 2000.
Correct.
Right. Let's talk about second semester. Okay, second semester for the purposes of our conversation, would have been January 2001 until May 2001. Was that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, on New Year's Day of 2001, do you recall stopping back by your house at 160 Fun Drive?
I don't remember exactly. It's been 25 years ago which day we stopped by, but we did stop through Athens.
Based on the recording that you heard, do you recall stating on New Year's Day 2001, you were on the way to Hilton Head Beach? It was you, Mrs. Ashley P.V. Hall, Chris Hall, and your significant other. Do you recall making that statement?
Yes.
And when you stopped in at your home on New Year's Day, you found that Miss Baker was home alone.
Yes.
And you were shocked to find Miss Baker home alone on New Year's Day. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, typically college students would go home during the holidays, but I, hadn't lived with Tara, so I didn't know her patterns of when she went home and when she wouldn't have gone home.
Okay, and based on our discussion regarding how she was with Chris from August to December, is it fair to say that you probably expected her to be with Chris?
I don't know where I would have expected her to be. It was the holidays, so.
But you and Miss Ashley P.V. Hall, you two are with your significant others. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, from January 1st to January 19th, that's going to be the focus of this portion of our conversation, okay? You would agree Miss Baker had stopped going to Chris Melton's home. Is that right?
She hadn't stopped going there. She just wasn't going as often, I would say. I don't remember fully, how many days a week or anything like that.
Do you recall making the statement, when class started back, we hadn't been there in like 2 weeks. We had not been back week or week and a half. whatever all that was when all this happened, she hadn't been going to Chris' house at night. Do you recall making that statement?
Do you have the transcript, or is that what you just played?
Lady, please stop. You just heard yourself say this. Stop protecting the then boyfriend. Hey, JKT Bach. Yay. You just heard yourself say this.
Do you recall making that statement?
I'd like to see it.
You would like to hear it?
Yes.
Jenna, I would move to introduce.
Oh, lady. Now, remember, they played this outside the presence of the jury, and now the defense got the opportunity, thanks to her, to play it in front of the jury. And then they will hear the differences between how she acts on the stand and how she spoke back then.
(32), Ms.
Yes.
Okay. Well, court's indulgence. Ms. Lang, do you recall speaking with law enforcement agent Elizabeth Bigham?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see Ms. Bigham in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. And you've heard
Yeah. The lead investigator, who may or may not have been coaching witnesses on how to testify, and who helped the boyfriend concoct a story regarding how his liquid DNA ended up in the graped part of his girlfriend. She's listening to all of this, and she's going to testify in this trial.
you've heard portions of your recording with Ms. Bigham. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that it was you on that audio?
Yes.
Okay. Had it been altered from what you heard? Had it been altered in any way?
I'm not aware that it had.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I would move to introduce portion or minute mark 1632 through 1651 of Defense Exhibit 22 into evidence.
Any objection?
I don't know that he's laid the grounds for it being an inconsistent statement.
Are you?
So I guess I would.
And the prosecution, same tactics as with the prior witness. I don't think he laid a foundation for an inconsistent statement. Sir, her statements are vastly different between the recorded interview and what she claimed on the stand.
Object on this ground.
All right, I'm going to sustain the objection. I think that's correct, but I'm going to let you refresh your recollection, and I'm going to ask the jury to go into the jury room one more time. Please don't discuss the case.
And it works. But now, the judge has made, up until now, decent, unbiased rulings. And she returns to this, which, in my opinion, is absolute horse shit. Absolute horse shit. They have the recording. The witness asked for the recording.
And we can do that.
Well, Your Honor, I have a case for you. If,
I'll let you
but
outside the presence of the
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, between that other witness, when defense attorney, well, he found case law. Judge doesn't care. This jury is getting their steps in because they are being sent in and out of that courtroom all the time.
Already done, and you can't. So, Mr. Cruz, you can tell me whatever you want to, and that's fine. But it sounded like she was offering to have her memory refreshed, which you had already done, and you can do that again if you choose to. But if you want to make a different argument, go ahead.
I'll follow the honorable court's order. I'll just put the case law on the record if the
All right.
honorable court will allow me. Of the record, I provide the court with Hayes v. State, which is 320 Georgia 505, page 518. That is 910 Southeast 2nd, 198. This is a 2024 case. It states, if a witness testifies that he cannot recall making a prior statement, this is the same as a denial, and extrinsic evidence of the prior statement may be presented in evidence. In support of that proposition, I also cite Scuniers, which is S as in smile, C as in car, O as in orange, N as in nice, Y as in yellow, E as in eggnog, I as in rhinoceros, and S as in sailor. The State, 318 Georgia 855, 901 Southeast 2nd, 170. That's a 2024 case. Also, Murdoch v. State, which is 299 Georgia 177, page 179, which is a 2016 case, cites or states, if the witness testifies that he cannot remember the underlying facts, this is an implied denial of any prior statement on those facts. So I just wanted to put that on the record, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I think at this point, Mr. Cruz, I'll let you refresh your recollection. The understanding of the court from this witness is not necessarily that there's no memory of any statement being made, but the specific question that you asked. You can go ahead and refresh your recollection. If that doesn't satisfy you in your questioning, we'll go ahead and talk about sort of the next steps, and you can renew your motion. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And let the record reflect that I am playing minute mark 1632 through 1651 of Defense Exhibit 22, which is identified as Ms. Valerie Lowe's interview with Agent Elizabeth Bigham.
Sorry. Got something stuck in my throat here. All right.
I had just graduated, started back. We hadn't been there like, what, 2 weeks? Because I had just graduated in December and I was starting my master's in January at UGA. We had not been back and a half, whatever all that was when all this happened. She hadn't been going to Chris's house at night. So when I say she went there that often, it was weird.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Now she listened. Now she's listened to it twice. I mean, she has to stop pretending she didn't say these things.
Any other questions of this witness?
No, ma'am.
All right, any other motions we need to take up before the jury comes back in?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, you may call the jury back in. Anything from the state? All right.
Jury comes back in.
Between
Yes. Yes, I don't know how many days a week.
Y'all may be seated. Mr. Cruz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, during the month of January 2001, Ms. Baker had stopped going to Chris' home. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't know how many days a week or anything like that, but she was not going as often.
My question.
And she still does it. She heard herself say that the victim stopped going to Chris's house. And she still tries to say and indicate, she didn't go as often anymore.
Specifically, is during the month of 2001, Miss Baker had stopped going to Chris' home. Is that a yes or a no?
Yes,
You also noticed that she was no longer spending much time with Chris. Is that correct?
that is correct.
You would agree that there was a noticeable shift in the relationship between Chris and Miss Baker before her death.
I don't know anything about their relationship necessarily, but her patterns had changed.
Jesus Christ, you heard yourself say on the recording that you checked in on her. Her demeanor was so changed. You and the others checked in on her.
Miss Lowe, you recall speaking with Agent Bigham in regards to the shift in Miss Baker's relationship. Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Okay, so this isn't the first time you've been asked that question about the shift in Miss Baker's and Chris Melton's relationship. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In your statement to Elizabeth Bigham when she asked you, but it was like a noticeable shift, you said definitely, it was definitely a shift. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Let me ask you this. Would you agree that some of your answers have changed here today versus when you spoke with Agent Bigham?
No, they have not.
No?
I mean, it's been 25 years, so I've been asked lots of questions over the years.
That's fair. And you would agree that you spoke to Miss Bigham last year. Is that correct?
I believe it was, I don't remember when the rest was, maybe 2023.
Sorry, I am incorrect. Do you recall speaking to Miss Bigham on May 3rd, 2024?
Yes, I do remember speaking with her.
And some of the questions that I am asking you, you've learned are the same questions that Miss Bigham has asked you, correct?
Yes,
And would you agree that some of the answers that I've gotten originally have been different from the answers you've given Miss Bigham?
I don't recall that, but I mean, I listened to the statement that you played.
Okay. Is there any reason that
Her interviews have been both in 2001 and 2024.
do you feel the need to protect Chris Melton?
No, I don't.
Okay. And you are going to be truthful and honest with the jury?
Yes,
Okay. After noticing the shift in Miss Baker's relationship, do you recall asking her if everything was okay?
yes,
And based on Miss Baker's response, it is fair to say that your takeaway was that Chris was no longer a focus for Miss Baker.
her focus was on school.
That's not what he asked. And again, according to your own statements, there was a clear shift that made you worried about the defendant enough to check in on her.
Is it fair to say that her relationship with Chris was a distraction for her?
Yes, her focus was on school.
Now, we've agreed that on January 1st, or New Year's Day, Miss Baker was home alone. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And January 19th, 2001, she was killed. Is that correct?
yes,
And I like to put this in context for the jury, okay? We agree that 3 people stayed at 160 Fun Drive. We've already discussed that. We agree on that, correct?
yes,
Okay. And although Miss Single may or may not have been single, I want us to assume that she's with Chris Melton, okay?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. We're going to assume for this conversation that Miss Baker is still with Chris Melton on January 19th, okay?
Yes,
You were dating Jeffrey Hall.
yes,
Okay, so we have 3 roommates. We have Jeffrey Hall. Ashley Peavy was dating Chris Hall.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have Chris Hall. So we have Miss Baker. We have you. We have Mrs. Peavy Hall. I want to make sure I get her name right. We have Chris Hall. We have Jeffrey Hall, and we have Chris Melton. So at any given time, there could be 6 people in that house. Is that right?
correct.
Okay. And even with the single car in the driveway, there could still be at least 2 people in the house. Is that right?
Correct. If someone had somebody there.
Well, boyfriend, girlfriend, couple. Is that fair?
Mhm.
Based on the number of people that could be in the house at any given time, is it fair to say that it seems as if the person that killed Miss Baker was certain that she would be home alone?
Sustained.
Yeah, that was a bad question. He should have phrased it differently, because that is actually what she says in the interview. It's almost as if the killer knew she would be alone in the house.
Your statement to law enforcement was that it was like someone knew that she was going to be home alone. Is that-
I'm going to overrule that objection.
Can you repeat that?
Absolutely. Your statement to law enforcement was that it was like someone knew she would be home alone. Is that correct?
I did make that statement, yes.
Now let's talk about the items that you had in your room, okay? You had a jar full of change and money in your room. Is that right?
Correct.
That was not taken.
No, sir.
Okay. You had a lot of purses in your room, correct?
Correct.
Those were not taken. Is
No,
that
sir.
right? And you also had expensive jewelry in your room. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that also was not taken,
No, sir.
right?
No, sir.
Now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
No. I think you were answering. I spoke
I
while
said
you were
no,
speaking.
sir.
I'm sorry.
I said no, sir.
And all of this was in the open in your room, correct?
Yes, sir.
But none of your property was missing from the home and everything looked exactly how you left it.
I did not go to the house, but yes, everything was still there.
Yes, ma'am. Based on none of your valuables in your room being stolen, is it fair to say that it seems that the person that killed Miss Baker came there specifically for her?
Yeah, that's
Sustained.
speculation. Yeah. But
But nothing was taken from anyone in the home.
No, sir.
yeah, and this is the other roommates have also testified to. Nothing was taken. Nothing. Now, the charge for this defendant, Mr. Faust, is breaking and entering, robbery, backdoor grape, and murder. Because according to the state, there has to be a reason for everything happening. And for Mr. Faust to be in that, his liquid DNA being inside the victim, it has to have been, according to the state, a robbery turned grape turned murder. But there is no robbery. And this is for the prosecution to insinuate to the jury that this was a crime of opportunity. Robbery, grape, murder. But if nothing is taken, there's no robbery. Leading to the should lead to the speculative conclusion that somebody went there for the sole purpose of murdering the victim. And when you take away the robbery, means, motive, opportunity. Again, this is the boyfriend's hands 2 days after the murder. Scraped knuckles. The victim was brutally beaten. Strangled with an electrical cord. Hands are as if they were scraped by nails. Somebody fighting back. We haven't heard yet whose DNA was under her fingernails. We didn't hear it in the state's opening statement, which leads me to believe that whatever was found under her fingernails was DNA of the boyfriend. But we haven't. It has still not been brought into trial. All right, let's keep going.
Or not from my room. I can only speak to myself.
Yes, ma'am, that's fair. I have no other questions for you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lowe.
Any redirect, Mr. Bolden?
Dr. Lowe, you mentioned that in the fall semester, Tara had been spending a good bit of time over at Chris's. Were you aware of where that apartment was?
Yes, sir. I believe I remember.
Where was it?
I believe it was off Millage.
Is that here in Athens?
Yes.
In January, do you have any knowledge of, as to where Chris was living at that time?
I think he was living in the same place, but I don't fully remember, but I think he was.
Do you have any knowledge of him spending more time at his parents' house?
I remember times that there were, if he had work, in that area. Yes.
And then lastly, Dr. Lowe, for some reason can't remember to ask this question. In the days subsequent to Tara's murder, do you remember being asked to submit samples of your hair in connection with the investigation in the case?
Yes, sir.
And did you provide those?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, man.
Yeah, the prosecution is trying to claim that the Caucasian hair found on the victim's body might have been hers.
Any recross, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
May this witness be excused?
They would ask that she be excused.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
If she's under subpoena from my office, I just ask that she stays on all states.
Is she under subpoena from your office?
Abigail would know. Wilson would know. He'll be here Friday. But I believe she is. I believe all of Miss Baker's roommates and family members are under subpoena from my office. I just want to say it certainly without.
All right. You are free to go for today if you are under subpoena. It's unclear to the court whether you are. You are? Okay, thank you. You are still under that subpoena, but you are free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may call your next witness.
We asked the witness if she has been. I mean, she would.
She just stated she was.
Okay, I didn't
You
hear
did
that.
just,
Your Honor.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
She did. You are free to go, ma'am.
Yeah. So this witness, in my opinion, good for the defense. Good for the defense. Nothing missing from the house. There's a clear shift before, after New Year's. She was over at Chris's, the boyfriend's house all the time, and boom, not. She wasn't. She was, in my opinion, distraught enough for her roommates to check in on her. Now I want to, let's see, I'm going to get ourselves to another witness. Let's see which one it is. Let me get to it. Let's see. Oh yeah, this. Hold on while I check here. I'm going to go to cross-examination of this witness.
At the time that this murder occurred, but I do believe that this witness has personal knowledge of the agency's timeline.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may continue.
So, Mr.
Yeah, let's get to cross-examination.
And interviewed bank employees.
Because this witness is going to make statements regarding the investigation that is going to blow your mind. Going to blow. Hey, cat raid. Hey, folks. Cat attack. Cat raid. Hey, folks. Hey, folks. We just covered the roommate. We just covered the roommate trying to change the story from the interview to understand. Now we are going to listen to the cross-examination of idiot investigator. So welcome. Hit the thumbs up. Sadly, YouTube have said that my stream is limited because of the words I use and the content. I'm at yellow, so I'm under warning that from YouTube that we don't like you, but I know you love me. So hit the thumbs up and everything about it, so I can get the views and all the things. All right, let's listen to cross-examination of idiot cop.
He let the
Oh, before that, hi Dave. Why did it take 25 years to bring charges? 2001, they couldn't get a positive DNA hit. They did in 2023, discovering that Mr. Faust, his liquid DNA was in the victim, and the boyfriend's DNA was in the victim. They chose to charge the black man, Mr. Faust, even though this was her boyfriend's hands 2 days after murder, and he's been lying about his whereabouts for 24 years, the boyfriend. They chose the black guy. All right, let's now go to idiot officer.
jury know what year Chris Melton's timeline was finally confirmed?
I would say it was 2000 and, well, I can't say what year it was definitive, not without looking at the supplementals, but it would have been early on in the investigation.
Sure. And this was
Yeah, they cleared him early on in the investigation because his best friend and his parents provided information. And he couldn't have been there because he had so much to do at work. He was a plumber, by the way. He had so much to do at work, so he couldn't possibly have done this. 23 years later, his DNA proves that he was lying. They still charged the black guy. Hey, Kristen Vasquez became a member. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. His hands looks worse than Zachariah Anderson's. Everybody's hands looks worse than Zachariah Anderson's. Zachariah Anderson had literally 0 injuries on his hands.
based on an interview with Chris Melton. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And you just tell me if you agree or disagree. Mr. Melton said he started his morning at his parents' home at 7:15 a.m. You agree, disagree, don't know.
Do we have can I use the copy of the timeline that I brought with me?
May I see it? Is that okay? May I see it?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, we will get there, Bailey. We will get there. About his work. So this witness brings a timeline the defense have no idea exists. Wasn't handed over. For fuck's sake. Oh yeah. And if anybody else says, hey, we like Nick, we want to become a member, it's $3 a month. And you get access to all my members only content, your own emojis on YouTube.
Let me do this. Let's start this way.
And
Now I'll get back to Chris Melton.
Okay.
And you also, most of my videos, if not all of my videos, you get to see before the general public. And all that for $3 a month. Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to see this. Can I use this for a second? If you need
Sure.
it, I'll bring it to you. And the information in here is all information within your personal knowledge.
I
Is
don't
that correct?
remember what type
That's correct.
of officer he is.
I just understand that that document was prepared by me more than 20 years ago. So
That's fair. I want to talk about the mitochondrial DNA analysis. Okay. What I understand is on page 5 of 36 of your report, the cold case, FBI cold case form, it states a request has been made to have mitochondrial DNA analysis done on one Caucasian pubic hair, which has not matched any elimination hair submitted. Is that correct?
that's correct.
They found Caucasian pubic hair on the victim. Mr. Faust is black. The victim's probably ex-boyfriend, Caucasian. But nah, we have a black suspect. Fuck the evidence. Let's bring it to the black guy. Without saying too much about my personal grooming, there will not be any pubic hair.
Do you know? Well, you know that mitochondrial DNA test was completed. Is that correct?
I do.
Okay. And that pubic hair came back to match Mr. Chris Melton. Is that? Well, excuse me. I said that wrong. That mitochondrial DNA test came back that it could not exclude Chris Melton as a contributor of that hair.
Seriously. Every piece of solid evidence points to the boyfriend. Every single. Here's the thing. If the boyfriend was on trial, they could have used Mr. Faust in order to hopefully bring reasonable doubt. Instead, they shot the black guy. Well, yeah, my beard is up here. So, Miss Viking doesn't like hair in her food.
Well, no, that's accurate. I think my recollection is it matched a roommate. My recollection could be wrong though.
Sure.
There was a lot of hair involved in this.
Sure. Was seeing.
Yeah, there was a lot of hair involved, and none of it was from a black guy.
A copy of the mitochondrial DNA report refresh your recollection?
Surely, yeah.
Court's indulgence.
Oh, by the way, I just found out, thank you to person via X who now have shown me the prison snitch that the prosecution is going to have testify, allegedly saying, yeah, Mr. Faust confessed to me, is a repeat prison snitch. It seems like every time he's in prison, he finds somebody to confess, testifies in trial, and this jack-off prison snitch and the prosecutor who uses it make sure he walks free to commit more crimes. Motherfucker. Okay, sidetrack. Folks, let's bring in a prison snitch and let the jury determine the weight of the evidence, yada, yada, yada. Folks, Prison snitches, in my opinion, should never be allowed to be used in trial. Why? Because prison snitches has nothing to lose by lying. Nothing. If they are believed, they are let out of prison. If they're not believed, they would still be in prison. So a prison snitch has every incentive to snitch and lie. Should never be allowed. It's actually more worthless to have a prison snitch on the stand than a toolmark analyst.
Hey, Your Honor, I'll ask this. Some testimony was presented that was not expected. I would like to address the testimony, but it may take me a minute to get the different files together. I would ask if we could take maybe a 5-minute recess for me to collect those files.
We can take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll send you all to the jury room. This is a good bathroom break. Please don't discuss the case.
Okay. Let's skip ahead.
You all may be seated. Mr. Cruz, you have the floor.
All right, I'd like to show you I'm going to mark as Defense Exhibit 32. And Your Honor, thank you for the 5 minutes.
You're welcome, sir.
Let the record reflect that I've already shown the state what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 32. May I approach you?
Absolutely.
I'd like you to look at, take your time, look over the entire document. But the particular page that I'm going to ask you about in regards to your response to my prior question is page 4, the first paragraph and the last sentence in the first paragraph of page 4.
And Your Honor, just to be clear, I understand this is being offered to refresh Mr. Griffith's recollection.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I got the first paragraph. What was the other part of the last page?
So the fourth paragraph on the last page. I'm sorry. The fourth paragraph on the last page in the, saying that wrong. Page 4.
Third paragraph.
Page 4, first paragraph, last sentence.
And Judge, I do believe the witness can just review whatever he would like out of the report that he believes would refresh his recollection.
I mean, I think that is correct. And
I don't disagree with that, John. I was trying to direct.
Okay.
Have you looked at it?
I have.
Okay. Is your recollection refreshed?
It is. So the hair. Yep. Yep. So, all right. I'll let you ask a question.
Yes, sir. So in regards to the hair that was found on Miss Baker's buttocks, Chris Melton could not be excluded as a source of that hair. Is that correct?
That's correct. And so could not Ashley Hall.
So let me ask you this. We talked about his alibi, okay? And you mentioned in regards to his alibi that he was with a coworker. Do you recall saying that?
I do.
Okay. Did you obtain any employment contracts to ensure that those two work together?
I did not.
Did you go to any place of employment that them, excuse me, did you go to any place of employment that they may have worked on January 19th that confirmed that they were coworkers?
I did not. I did not personally interview Mr. Melton or the coworker.
This jack-off testified on direct that, yeah, we didn't check into boyfriend because he had an alibi. As it turns out, they don't fucking know if he has an alibi or not because they took his word for it. Because he was, I don't know, because he was white. And we all know white people doesn't lie. We are genetically programmed to not lie, according to the state's theory. Even though provably the boyfriend lied, they don't care. I mean, I'm not a person who brings race into things, but I can't find another reason to why the boyfriend wasn't charged. I really can't. Every piece of solid physical evidence tells us boyfriend did it. The only thing that speaks against it is that the victim, within 3 to 5 days of the murder, had sex with a black guy. That's all it says. And they chose to charge the black guy. Folks, please, folks, challenge this opinion of mine that the only reason they don't charge the boyfriend is because there might be a black guy to charge instead. Yeah, Tara Allen, Law and Cream did a poll and over half voted guilty. Yeah, but it took 4 hours before the results became somewhat even between the not guilty and the guilty. For the first 2 hours of that Law and Cream vote, it was under 20% guilty.
Court's indulgence, Your Honor. Were you aware that Mr. McCourty and Chris Melton stayed less than a mile away from each other?
I have a recollection that they lived in close proximity to each other.
Okay. Were you aware that those gentlemen went to high school together?
I don't know that I was aware that they went to high school together.
Were you aware that Chris Melton left, excuse me, were you aware that Josh McCourty drove Chris Melton to Athens?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that when Chris Melton gave his alibi to law enforcement, Josh McCourty left the police department?
I don't know that that would have been relevant to any of my analysis.
You fucking moron. When the boyfriend presented his alibi, of which you apparently didn't check up on at all, his friend walked away. And you don't find that relevant? You fucking moron.
Okay. That would, well, the statement that you made is that Chris Melton's alibi has been confirmed. And I want to go through the steps that you all have taken as an agency to confirm his alibi. So as of right now, we've established that you did know that, or you may have known that Josh McCourty stayed less than a mile from Chris Melton, but you did not know that they went to high school together. We agreed on that fact, correct?
No, we don't agree on that fact. I may have known, it's been 20 years. I'm not going to remember all the details. I think I was doing good to pull up the first name Josh from memory.
Mr. Law Enforcement Officer, barely functioning retard officer. You brought stuff with you to court. And now you claim, I don't really remember that. Liar. You prepared for this as much as you could, even by bringing your own fucking stuff with you to court. And all of a sudden, I don't remember. Jesus fucking Christ. My apologies for those of you who take offense of me taking the Lord's name in vain.
Actually,
Yes, sir. But you told the jury on direct examination that you confirmed his coworker. Is that right?
that's my recollection, is that we interviewed his coworker, we interviewed his parents, we interviewed bank employees that were at the bank the morning he visited the bank. And that's how we came to put together the timeline of events surrounding
Yes, sir.
Mr. Melton.
And I want to take it piece by piece, step by step, so the jury can understand what was done to verify this timeline. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, and please forgive I have to grab a couple of different things to go over that with you. So please, court.
Sure.
Would you agree that during ACCPD's investigation, you all were unable to speak with any supervisor that confirmed Josh and Chris were at Nash Plumbing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on January 19, 2001?
I can't say. I don't recollect.
Okay. And that would be a fact that and I know it's been 20 years. I'm just asking this to put it on the record. Would you agree that fact would be significant?
My recollection of Melton's timeline is essentially this. Josh showed up at his house. They drove to the bank to withdraw some money. They went to a truck to a company to have some work done on his truck, if I recollect. Those are all the details I can pull from memory off the top of my head.
Sure. So if you don't know, you could just say, I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
I think we've already agreed, but I asked just in case. You're unable to speak with any coworkers that confirmed Josh and Chris were at Nash Plumbing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m.
I did not speak with any of Mr. Melton's coworkers. Other than reading supplementals and putting together the timeline after the fact, I couldn't attest to what was said or not said or who was interviewed.
Sure. But to your knowledge, you wouldn't disagree that as you sit here at this time, that you don't know if that was done?
I don't know.
Would you agree that you don't know at this time whether or not ACCPD spoke to any receptionists that confirmed Josh and Chris were at Nash Plumbing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on January 19, 2001?
I don't recollect.
Would you agree that as you sit here today, you don't know if ACCPD was able to speak with any eyewitnesses that confirmed Josh and Chris were at Nash Plumbing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on January 19, 2001?
Can I have the report that I handed you back?
Absolutely.
Refresh my memory.
Now, I would ask you this. I've read the report. I know there's some language in the report. I would ask that, and just to let you know where I'm headed with these questions, I'm going to ask you very specific questions. And if you say that it's confirmed, I'm going to follow it with how. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay, skipping ahead. He's
Whether
reading.
any, as you sit here today, you're unaware as to whether any any eyewitnesses confirmed that Josh and Chris were at Nash Plumbing between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on January 19th, 2001.
Here's what I can definitively say about Nash Plumbing. Back in 2006, when I was reviewing the case supplementals and interviews related to this investigation, my note says that Chris Melton and Josh McCurdy visited Nash Plumbing from approximately 7:45 to 9 a.m. on the morning of the 19th. That was based on an interview that Billy Ricketts did on January the 19th, 2001 and January the 21st, 2001. I think the best source of information related to that interview would have to come from Mr. Ricketts, or
Which begs the fucking question. Why did the prosecution call you? Why did the prosecution call you to testify about about the alibi?
from the people that were the subject of his interview.
Sure. Can you repeat those times to the jury?
Sure. 7:45 a.m. to 9 a.m.
All right. So you were unaware that Josh McCordy told law enforcement that at 8 a.m. he was in Grayson at a house.
Really? This testimony, contrary to your report, that says one of the guys that was supposed to be at the plumbing company was somewhere fucking else.
Were you aware of that fact?
I can't say that I was or was not. I don't recollect.
Well, you spoke of Detective Ricketts' report. Would you like to see Detective Ricketts' report to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Court's indulgence.
It seems like we now have the answer to why the prosecution doesn't call Mr. Ricketts and call this moron instead.
I'd like the record reflect that I am showing, and please forgive me, officer. Good afternoon. My name is Ahmad Cruz. I represent Mr. Edric Faust. It has been a long day.
David Griffith.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Please forgive me. Let the record reflect that I am showing the state Detective Ricketts' report from January 21st, 2001. Let the record reflect that I am showing the witness, Detective Ricketts' report from, I said the date wrong. I need to correct the record. From January 20th, 2001.
Okay. So my notes list Ricketts' report from January the 19th and January the 21st.
So, if the defense counsel have the authentic report from Mr. Ricketts and it says January 20th, your notes are fucking wrong, aren't they?
Okay.
Now I'll give you all three. I'll give you the 19th, 20th.
Oh,
and
three
21st.
reports. Okay. Now, for fuck's sake.
And what I'll do to make it easiest, since we're talking about Josh, I want to start with Josh. Is that fair?
Sure.
All right. It's okay if I approach you?
Mhm.
All right. Mr. Griffith, I would like for you to read the second paragraph on that document, second paragraph, line number 4.
Will Mr. Jingles come for a wellness check? Nah. Sadly, I can't control when Mr. Jingles is here.
Okay.
I wish I could.
You would agree that Josh McCourty stated at 8 a.m. he was in Grayson checking the house for leaks. Is that correct?
He said that they went to a house to check leaks.
At what time?
8 a.m.
But you just
So he wasn't at that workplace between 7:45 a.m. and 9 a.m. Was he? Your report is provably wrong regarding the alibi.
told this jury that from 7:45 to 9 a.m. they were at Nash Plumbing.
Well, the jury that I was, this is my recollection of what happened. It's based on these notes here.
Understood.
Right.
Will we agree at this
Well-
time that there's at least one error in the notes?
So, sir, this is a supplemental report written by a case agent. Hopefully at the time that we prepared this, we went back and listened to the interviews directly, but I can't recollect what we did 20 years ago. But the case synopsis.
Are you calling Mr. Ricketts a liar, Mr. Griffiths, because you are a fucking retard who can't read and can't read other people's reports properly? So you invent shit to put in your report in order to make the alibi stick. An alibi you did jack shit to verify.
That we took with us to the FBI in 2006, we collectively made the analytical determination that from 7:45 to 8 a.m., Melton was at Nash Plumbing.
So the time has changed from 7:45 to 9 a.m. to 7:45
I'm
to
sorry.
8 a.m.
From 7:45 to 9 a.m.
Excellent. May I approach?
Sure.
Established. And just to make sure that we're clear on what we established that Josh said that he was in Grayson at 8 a.m. Would you agree with that?
Yes. That's what the supplemental report that I read says.
Okay. And the one that you mentioned that your notes were based off of, is that right?
No, my notes were based off reports from the 19th and the 21st.
Okay. So we'll go to the 19th. Showing the state Detective Ricketts report from January 19th, 2001.
Screws.
Yes, sir.
And I guess no objection. I think that is Detective Ricketts' report from January 19th of 2001. I don't know that the witness has been asked an additional question that he has said he doesn't recall in order to refresh his recollection with this report, however.
Sure.
That's fair.
Sure. Chris Melton stated that they went to Grayson, Georgia after 9:30 a.m. Is that correct?
I don't know that I can say, I don't have a recollection of what Chris Melton said at this point 25 years later. I'm looking at the notes that are here in front of me to try to recollect, but I can't definitively say what Chris Melton said.
Would Detective Ricketts' January 19th, 2001 report refresh your recollection?
Possibly.
And I would like you to look at paragraph 2.
He was so well prepared
Sentence
for the
the third
prosecution.
sentence from the bottom to the bottom of the page. And let the record reflect that I'm showing the witness, Detective Ricketts, January 19th, 2001 report. So Chris stated they were in Grayson at 9:30 a.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just to make it clear for the jury, so Josh McCourty's alibi for him and Chris is at 8 a.m. We're in Grayson. Chris Melton's alibi for himself is at 9:30 a.m. We're in Grayson. Is that correct?
That's what that supplemental report said.
It's almost as if they made it up. But they forgot to tell each other what time they were supposed to agree on. Isn't that strange?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And this was the report you told me you relied upon. Is that correct?
So we referenced the interview that Ricketts had. We probably listened to the interviews.
Officer, we've already talked about this. We've already agreed on this. We talked about this earlier. So you didn't tell me that the January 19, 2001 Ricketts report was the report that you
So
relied
we
on?
looked at the total collective case file back when we prepared this in 2006, which would have been the interviews. You know, if there were video or audio interviews, we would have reviewed those. We would read those supplemental reports. Our collective assessment was we felt like Chris Melton was nowhere near Athens, Georgia during those hours.
But officer,
Whether it's in Grayson or at Nash Plumbing, or it wasn't Fawn Drive in Athens, Georgia.
but you would agree with me, law enforcement officers don't go off feelings, they go off evidence. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not abnormal to take statements from different individuals and have time variations in their statements. You know, it's difficult.
There's a fucking hour and a half between those two statements. For the love of fuck. If there is discrepancy between, yeah, we were there at 8 a.m. and the other one says 9:30, that's an hour and a half in between. That should tell an ethical investigator that, hey, somebody here is lying.
For people to remember what they did yesterday.
Sure. What if they say they went to different places? Is that abnormal? Is
don't
that abnormal?
I don't think they say they went to different places. They collectively agree that they went.
No, there's no collectively agreement here. These are individual statements. There's no collective agreement here unless you have all of them in the same room, improperly interviewed. No. You have different people saying they are at different places, different time, and you in your report says they were at another place.
To Grayson, right, to check a house for leaks.
Sure. So this is what I like to do. I like to show you the January 20th, 2001 report from Detective Ricketts, and I would like you to advise the jury of where Mr. McCourty said they went after leaving Nash Plumbing. Is that fair?
Well, and Judge, I am going to object to that. Refreshing recollection isn't handing Mr. Griffith a report and asking him to relay to the jury what the
It's his report that he says he has relied on regarding his testimony. He himself has verified the business record. The witness itself has verified this business record. There's no way around it unless you're a shit judge and a shit prosecutor trying to avoid having the jury finding out the truth about this shit investigation.
report says. Question needs to be whether or not the report refreshes and brings to mind independently a recollection of that event.
Any response, Mr.?
I agree.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Josh McCourty stated after leaving Nash Plumbing that him and Chris went to Chick-fil-A. Would you agree with that statement?
That's what the report said.
So contemporaneously, they said they went to
So
Chick-fil-A.
Josh McCourty said they went to Chick-fil-A. Chris Melton said they went to Truck Customs. Would you agree?
I think they did both probably.
Well, we'll get into that. We're going to get into that. But Chris's next stop was Truck Customs. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And Chris says that they were at Truck Customs around 9:30 or sooner.
That's possible. I don't remember, what exactly his statement was.
Sure. Was seeing the report refresh your recollection?
All I'll be able to tell you is what that report says. So if that report says,
Well, so don't move the ball on me.
but what you need to recognize is that's a summary of an interview that was conducted with this individual.
This is so evasive. It's absolutely ridiculous. This barely functioning retarded officer refers to a report when it suits him. And then he tries to get away from the report when it doesn't. Because he knows that he took the oath, took the stand, and lied to the court and the jury about what was actually in those reports and in his own summary report.
And it's a summary that's paraphrased. So that wouldn't have been the best evidence for us at the time looking at this case file. We would have listened to the interview. Hopefully, I don't recollect if Ricketts recorded it or not, but that was the expectation at the time, is that you would record your interviews. We would have listened to the recorded interview.
So I want to make sure that you and I are on the same page. So it's not Ricketts' reports that you relied upon. It was the recorded interviews that you relied upon.
So we looked at the totality of the case file when I started looking at this case, which included audio recordings, video recordings, supplemental reports that case agents and investigators wrote. The totality of the case file as it was when we picked it up in 2005.
Sure. So I asked you a couple of questions. If you don't remember, we'll play the audio recording for you. Is that fair?
Okay.
And Judge, I mean, I am going to object. I think the witness has testified that all this will do is give him an opportunity to say what is in the report or what is in the recording, not develop an independent recollection of his own. I think that was his testimony the last time that a report or anything else was offered.
Then he should not have been allowed to testify at all, because during direct examination, you had him answering questions about his recollection. If you now say there is no independent recollection, he's only reading from the reports, then all of this officer's testimony should be stricken. This is a catch-20. The prosecution is trying to make a catch-22 out of this situation, meaning it's only okay if we do it. The defense can't do it because it would ruin our case.
So I'm going to object to that. Detective Ricketts I anticipate is going to testify in this trial. So I'm going to object at this point to using cross-examination as a method to just read in portions of a police report.
May I respond?
Of course.
The state opened the door to this line of cross-examination. This witness, nowhere in the discovery file, mentioned a statement that we confirmed Chris Melton's. Let me rephrase that. The anticipated testimony for this witness based on the state's discovery file had nothing to do with confirmation of Chris Melton's alibi or non-confirmation of Chris Melton's alibi. When the state elicited an answer from him stating that we confirmed Chris Melton's alibi, it would be impossible for Chris Melton to be in Athens at the time, and he relied on these reports in making that decision. The state opened the door to this line of cross-examination. That's one, but I think that misses the issue of the state's objection. In regards to the state's objection, Mr. Griffin stated that he relied on these reports as well as the recorded audio and coming to his decision, Your Honor.
So let me ask you this question, Mr. Cruz. What is it that you're trying to do right now?
Confront the statement that he made that Chris Melton's alibi was confirmed. It was not, Your Honor. We have the evidence to show that.
I'm going to sustain the objection and ask you to move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolute horseshit. Absolute horseshit. I had a little hope for this judge after the beginning of this day, when she actually made reasonable judgment calls. Now she's back, basically sitting in the lap of the prosecution, saying, oh, no, you can't bring that in. That would ruin their case if you have evidence that their case is shit.
Officer, I have no more questions for you.
Okay.
Any redirect, Mr. Yalaman-Chile, of this witness?
Now, this is quite clever. If the jury is starting to acknowledge that, why are the state trying to hide this information? The defense clearly has the evidence, why won't you show it to us? Then immediately after this decision, where the defense attorney says, he claims they have confirmed the alibi. We have evidence against it. Judge says, no, I'm going to allow the prosecution to hide this evidence. And the defense attorney says, well, then I have no questions. It's appalling.
I just want to clarify, because there were a couple questions that Mr. Cruz asked you that I think the tail end of your answer may have been cut off. Just want to clarify a couple things. Mr. Cruz asked you if Josh McCurdy said,
Objection, Your Honor. You just stated that we could not go down that line of questioning, so I would ask that the same restriction is placed upon the state.
Okay, well, that's not exactly what I said, but what is your specific objection?
Relevance, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Yalaman-Chile, how is that relevant?
I'm simply asking the witness to clarify the answers he gave to two questions that Mr. Cruz directly asked him.
All right. Anything further, Mr. Cruz, based on that?
I would just simply ask the same restriction that's placed on us, that we can't get into that with this witness. I would ask that the same restriction is placed on the state. As I mentioned, Your Honor, they opened the door to this line of questioning. I was confronting the answer. If I can't ask about it, and I stopped as soon as he made his objection, on the court stated that I couldn't ask those questions. I would ask the state not to make, let me rephrase that. I would ask that the state is the same restriction are placed on the state that's placed on the defense at this moment.
And if I,
that line of questioning.
if I could respond briefly.
You may, sir.
This is a question that Mr. Cruz did ask and received a response to with no objection. So I don't understand that.
You failing to object does not, you can't open the door for yourself. Just because you didn't object until later on, and then all of a sudden, no, can't do it. From that moment, the same applies to you. If we had a judge who was consistent in her ruling.
Argument, and I believe it is something that's proper in redirect to ask about specific responses to questions asked on cross-examination and the answers that were admitted in front of the jury.
All right. Yes, sir.
He's just trying to skirt around the Honorable Court's ruling. Your Honor has made it clear that that line of questioning is not appropriate for this witness. If he didn't object to it, he can't open the door, allow the questions, object. The Honorable Court says, no, those questions are not allowed. And then get up and follow up on the questions that I understand the Honorable Court is saying are improper for this witness. So I would ask that the state not be allowed to ask those type of questions.
All right, thank you. All right, so with regard to the actual objection, I think, Mr. Cruz, you're misstating what the court did. I have said this
fuck's sake.
before. The use of the word restriction is not appropriate. The court made a ruling based upon the law and the analysis of the objection and what it entailed. It is not actually called a restriction. The state made an objection, the court ruled on it, and I sustained that objection. With regard to this particular moment, the state is asking to redirect based upon two questions that the defense asked that were permissible. I'm going to
No. You never made a ruling about it being permit. You didn't need to make a ruling out of it because there was no objection. You cow. Not until the state objected, all of a sudden, those type of questions were not allowed. Now, you failing to then strike prior questions in the same light. That's not to be used against the defense. That is a failure of the court. And now she's using the failure of the court, the failure of the prosecution, to allow the prosecution to open the door to themselves. And I bet you that if the defense would say, well, now they opened the door twice, surely you would permit us to keep going. And she won't. Because she's a cow.
to allow it. You may proceed.
So I want to start first with a question that was asked to you. I think Mr. Cruz asked you a question of Mr. McCurdy said he was in Grayson at 8 a.m., I believe was the question.
That is exactly what the judge said was not permissible.
Your answer said they were. What do you mean by they?
So, Josh McCurdy said that that's what the supplemental report said, they.
Oh, look who regained his memory. Look who regained his fucking memory the moment the prosecution asks the same type of questions as the defense, of which you had zero recollection of 3 fucking minutes ago.
So, I think the best way to let's back up and talk about what I know. Collectively, at the time we were reviewing all of the interviews.
Judge, this is exactly what your ruling said was not permissible.
That had taken place previously in this case, where we looked at Josh's statement, Chris's statement, the parent's statement. Collectively, they all put Mr. Melton to the west, way out of Athens, Georgia.
No, they did not. If that person puts him over there at that time, he himself puts himself at another place at that time. The third person puts him at a different. It's almost as if you have 3 people confronted with, hey, that alibi, what are you going to say about it? And everybody lied and they hadn't spoken. What are we supposed to lie about now again?
There may not have been perfect agreement in the minute-by-minute recollections of.
Minute by minute, it's an hour and a fucking half in between. They don't even have the correct places in agreement. Lying. And Mr. Fucktwat, that comb over makes you look like a dick.
Where people were. But at the end of the day, there were multiple people that put Chris Melton over at his home near his parents' home.
Well, and I'm sorry, and I just want to stop you because I think I might have asked my question poorly.
Okay.
But
Hang on one second, Mr. Allen. I think Mr. Cruz has an objection before you continue. Go ahead, sir.
The state has opened the door again, and I would ask for the opportunity to cross-examine this witness on the statement that the witness just made before the jury.
You will certainly get the opportunity to cross-examine. I don't know, I'm not going to respond to the opening the door at the moment. I don't know that that's necessarily an objection, but if you need to recross this witness, you certainly may do so. Go ahead, Mr. Yamamoto.
And I'm sorry, I'll ask it more precisely. They is a plural pronoun, correct?
I take that to mean, based on my collective knowledge of the case, that Josh and Chris.
Okay, that was my only question. And I'm sorry, I should have asked it in a more precise manner that way. Mr. Cruz asked you about some mitochondrial DNA results, and he said this result indicated that Chris Melton could not be excluded in the report. And your answer referenced one other person in addition to Chris Melton. Who were the people who could not be excluded as contributors of that hair?
One of Tara Baker's roommates and Chris Melton.
Okay.
I believe it was Ashley Hall.
That's it, Judge. Just those two questions.
Recross, Mr. Cruz.
Absolutely, Your Honor. And I just want to follow up on a specific question that the state asked you. He asked you what did, he stated that on cross-examination, I said he, you said they, and they means Chris and Josh. Is that correct?
That's how I took it.
Okay, that's fair. And then he asked you about the timing of being in Grayson at 8 a.m. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking you a different question from what I asked you before. Chris Melton stated that he was at Nash Plumbing at 7:45. Is that right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah. So my notes say that, and this is a case summary that was presented to a bunch of
For fuck's
investigators.
sake, just
at the
answer
FBI,
the
right?
fucking question.
We believe, based on the totality of the interviews that we listened to, the case supplemental reports that we read, that Chris Melton was not in Athens, Georgia. He was over near Nash Plumbing.
But officer, you already said that you all didn't confirm, or you're not aware of you all confirming Chris being at Nash Plumbing.
That's not what I said. I said I couldn't confirm, but I'm looking at this case file multiple years down the road, looking back at interviews that were done in 2001. As I sit here today, 20 plus years later, I may not recollect accurately what we looked at 20 years ago. But my understanding of the case is we felt collectively at the time that Chris Melton was not, that it would not have been possible for him to have been in Athens, Georgia and killed Tara Baker.
Okay. And that was based on, I think we agreed, just you all's collective feeling. Is that correct?
No, not our collective feeling, our collective review of all the evidence that had been collected to date.
So let's talk about the evidence. You would agree that law enforcement spoke to Chris Melton's parents 4 months after Ms. Baker's death?
I couldn't tell you when they spoke to them. Here, 20 years later, I don't.
Yeah, folks. They didn't actually start checking the alibi until 4 fucking months later. While 2 days after the crime, the boyfriend had fight injuries on his hands and just said he was somewhere else. And you fucktwats didn't bother to check his alibi until 4 months later.
I don't know what day they spoke to his parents.
Mr. Griffin, we can't have it both ways. We can't say we're sure that we confirmed Chris Melton is away from Athens, Georgia, and then when we asked about the specific.
I don't think those are my words.
Hold on. I'd ask that Mr. Cruz ask questions to the witness, not make comments about the witness's response.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yes.
Ask a question, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, ma'am. But you would agree that I believe it was, I won't even say the date, but in May of 2001, law enforcement went to interview Chris Melton's parents regarding his alibi for the first time.
I cannot tell you when they went to interview them for the first time. Sitting here today in 2026.
That is fair. Did you look at any report that discussed when they went to interview?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Would seeing that report refresh your recollection?
All I would be able to do is read back the report to you at this point. And that.
So he draws from his recollection, but the moment the defense says, well, would you like to look at the report? No, I don't recollect. That won't help me. Lying sack of shit.
I'm not trying to be belligerent or
Yes, you do.
difficult. I can't tell you, what we did 20 years ago.
If you can't tell what you did 20 fucking years ago, then you can't testify to the conclusion.
To a certain date.
But officer, you just told the jury what you all did 20 years ago. We just want to understand the foundation of it. Is that fair?
Object again, Judge. Mr. Cruz is to ask the witness questions, not make comments about the witness's responses. So I would object to the form of the question.
That's correct. Mr. Cruz, ask a question if you want to.
I do want to, Your Honor.
And go ahead.
Please forgive me. And I'll say, please forgive me, Mr. Griffin. Let's take it step by step, okay? You relied on Detective Ricketts' January 19th and January 21st report. Is that fair to say?
Asked and answered.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Is that fair to say?
Yes. And the only reason I can say that is because I have it in my notes that's what we relied on.
Okay, excellent. And we've agreed that from 7:30 to 7:45, Chris Melton stated that he was at Nash Plumbing.
My notes say that from 7:45 to 9 a.m., Chris and Josh McCurdy were at Nash Plumbing. And that, this is a summary of a lot of interview that took place. So as I sit here today, all I can tell you is we didn't believe they were in Athens, Georgia. Now the best way would be talk to Chris Melton.
Well,
right? And Josh McCurdy.
I just want to follow up on your statement. So let me ask you this. Is it fair to say that we shouldn't, and this is the best way I can frame it, so please forgive me. Based on our conversation here today, your report may not be the best place, your report may not be what we need to trust in determining whether or where Chris Melton was on that date. Is that fair?
We started out talking about what my recollection and understanding of the case file was, and my analytical assessment in 2006, and still to this day, is that Chris Melton was not in Athens, Georgia, and that's based on all the testimony of the people that we've talked about.
But you can't
And that's
recollect
Josh
that
McCourty,
fucking
correct?
testimony.
Chris Melton
Mhm.
and Chris Melton's
You could say yes or no, please, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, and bank employees at a bank. I want to say it was a Wachovia, but off the top of my head, I can't be certain.
You would agree with me that Chris Melton wasn't at the Wachovia until 9:08 a.m. Is that correct?
I don't know for certain.
But you spoke to 4 people. Is that right?
No, more than 4 people.
Okay, so it's no longer Josh McCourty, mom and dad, Chris Melton, and bank employees. Who else did you speak with?
My recollection is we spoke to Chris Melton, Josh McCurdy, Chris's mom and dad, and 2 bank employees.
So for the purposes of this conversation, we'll take the bank employees out of it. You and I have agreed upon that you didn't know that Josh and Chris went to school together. Is that right? We've agreed on that.
No, we haven't agreed on that. I don't remember if I knew that or not. Right now, as I sit here, I don't recollect.
Did you note it in your report?
Not in the report that's in front of me, no.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why it's relevant. What does that have to do with anything that we're talking about?
Oh,
Well, we could talk about it after court, but as of right now, the Honorable Court has said I only can ask questions. So can you answer that question for me, officer?
What's that?
The question is it in your report that Josh and Chris went to school together?
No, and I don't believe that I would have included it in my report if I'd known it.
So your report does not include all the details relevant to this case. Is that fair?
I think it includes the key details that were important to our investigation at the time that I prepared it.
But officer, you told the jury that Josh and Chris were employees. Would you agree that that gives a different significance from high school classmates? I'll say that.
Absolutely. The totality of the relationships between all the people involved are for the jury to weigh. Absolutely.
And were you aware that Chris Melton was his parents' only child?
I believe I was.
And is it fair to say, do you have children, officer?
I do. Yeah. And parents will do a lot for a child.
I don't even have to ask my next question then, officer. In regards to Nash Plumbing, that's really what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the Nash Plumbing. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. We've gone from, I believe, and correct me because I think I'm going to say this wrong. We've gone from 7, I'll say this. Give me the times that you state Chris is at Nash Plumbing.
So on this timeline, we have from 7:45 a.m. to 9 a.m.
At Nash Plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've established that Josh McCourty said at 8 a.m. they were in Grayson, Georgia.
Right.
Okay. And we've also established that Chris Melton said after 9:30 a.m. they were in Grayson, Georgia.
Right.
Okay. So you'd agree this is one contradiction in the alibi.
And like I said before, there are going to be contradictions when people are trying to recollect
Sure.
minute by minute.
That is fair.
History, right?
That is fair. Would you agree that after leaving Nash Plumbing, Chris Melton stated that they went to...
I think it was Truck Customs.
Correct. However, Josh McCourty stated they went to Chick-fil-A. Is that correct?
That's what the supplemental report has in it. Yeah.
Sure. And this is a question I want to ask you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You would agree that Josh McCourty was asked if he went to the bank with Chris Melton. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I feel certain that that was a question that was asked of him.
Okay. And Mr. McCourty said he didn't remember.
I don't recollect what I can't tell you what he said.
Would he in the recording refresh your recollection?
The same objection as before, Your Honor. This witness has indicated repeatedly that all the reports or recording would do would prompt him to say what is in the report or recording.
But he listened to it. Why is it that this guy is allowed to testify when the prosecution asks the same type of questions? But when it's no longer suiting the prosecution, they use this. Well, it's not his personal recollection. It's just what he heard and read from other people. Well, why the fuck is he allowed to be on the stand? Testifying, bolstering other people's reports, making conclusion that the boyfriend had an alibi. And despite it, even with the information we have now, at one place in the reports, they are definitely at the plumbing company for over an hour. In another report, they are somewhere completely else. In a third report, they are at the third place. And this jack-off says, well, the totality says he has an alibi. No, it tells us that people can't tell where they were at what time, consistent with what other people they claim to be around said. That is inconsistent statements that should have prompted a whole other investigation to go through everything thoroughly. Was he at the back? Okay. What actual fucking evidence do we have for that? Do they claim, he took out money? Show the fucking receipt. Banks have a 10-year statute to keep every fucking record. The video, if it was from an ATM, Was that saved? Why wasn't that collected in 2001? And if it was, where the fuck is it now? The employment records on this supposed plumbing company. Where the fuck is it?
Because he didn't interview. Anyway.
Sustained.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Court's indulgence. Chris stated that they went to, well, excuse me. Do you recall Chris stating that they went to Forsyth and met with a contractor named Mike? Do you remember that?
I don't remember those details.
Okay. Do you remember anyone at ACCPD ever speaking to a contractor named Mike that could confirm that Chris was in Forsyth?
I can't say with certainty whether or not a contractor in Forsyth was spoken to.
Okay. And I ask you this, and I'll let this probably be my final question. When it comes to the questions I asked you, there's no certainty, but you'd agree when the state asked you if Chris.
We object to that question. It's argumentative.
Sustained.
Is it fair to say we aren't? Outside of the three individuals you spoke to, excluding the bank, is it fair to say we don't have any other evidence of where Chris Melton was between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on January 19, 2001?
Mr. Cruz, what I can tell you with certainty is that as I sit here today in 2026, my assessment of Chris Melton's timeline
That's not the fucking question.
in 2001 as an investigative analyst that's investigated hundreds of violent crimes is that Chris Melton has substantial testimony from other people that puts him away from Athens, Georgia at the time Tara Baker was killed. And our
I would have objected here as non-responsive.
assessment in the analytical unit at the Athens Clarke County Police Department was that Chris Melton could not have killed Tara Baker.
That's based on those.
That's based on the totality review of the case file at the time that we looked at it in 2005. And that's what we presented in Quantico, Virginia at the FBI Academy.
Sure. And even the FBI advised you all to investigate Chris Melton's hard drive. Is that correct?
I recollect that there was a suggestion to look at his hard drive and an email from Christine DePoyster. I don't know that Chris Melton had a hard drive to look at.
Well, this is what I follow up with. If ACCPD was so certain that Chris Melton was away from Athens, why would the FBI request or instruct you all to look at his hard drive?
It goes back to something I said before. We did not eliminate Chris Melton as a person of interest. He was not at the top of our list of persons of interest. So, from an analytical standpoint, we had to look at, could we absolutely eliminate?
From my analytical standpoint, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I've just been doing labor and employment law for close to 35 fucking years. And my assessment of this guy is that he is a barely functioning retard. Sue me, asshole.
Him. I would not absolutely eliminate my mother from the crime. If somebody came and said that my mom could possibly have been involved, but it made it, the totality of the statements that we reviewed made it seem very implausible that Chris Melton was in Athens, Georgia at the time Tara Baker was killed. Now, if you presented some significant evidence, if Chris Melton.
And here he tries to turn the tables. The defense have no burden of proof. You have, the state has. And what you presented, what the court allowed us to listen to, was that you have two friends and his parents saying different things, different places at different times. And you cross-eyed, inbred motherfucker said, well, that's okay. This is infuriating. Absolutely ridiculously infuriating that this jack-off can sit there on the stand and then try to put it on the defense to bring forward evidence. When you jack-offs didn't even check employment records. You didn't check with the site where they claim to be, with the contractor if they actually were there. You did nothing.
Was seen on video in the neighborhood with a timestamp of 8 a.m. on January the 19th in 2001, that might change my assessment. But
Well, can I ask you this?
sure,
You'd agree that Mr. Faust wasn't seen on video at 8 a.m. in the neighborhood. Is that correct?
I didn't say he was, but I was talking about what might change my mind. Now, if we saw a video of Mr. Faust in the neighborhood, that would be a clue, right?
So why then jack off? Did you include, well, he wasn't seen at the site. Well, neither was Mr. Faust. So, do you have video of the boyfriend being at the bank? Do you have video of the boyfriend being at the work site? Do you have video at the ATM? Do you have video of the Chick-fil-A? That is moron argument. Moronic. And, folks, the channel's mascot and owner, Mr. Jingles, is here. Hello, Mr. Jingles. Have you been outside in the cold? Yeah. Did you have fun? Yeah.
But you also didn't see any video of Deer Park. Is that right?
I don't think I saw any video from Deer Park.
And outside of the bank, so we're not talking about the bank. We're going to assume that the bank is at 9:08. Between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., you all didn't collect any video where Chris Melton was located. Is that correct?
The only video that I recollect being collected, or I don't think it was collected, I think it was seen, was Chris Melton in a bank.
That's fair. And to conclude my questions for you, FBI stated search the hard drive. That wasn't done, was it?
I don't believe there was a hard drive to be searched.
So that's a no?
The fuck do you know if you didn't even look for it?
I cannot say with certainty that we didn't search a hard drive as I sit here today, but I do not have any recollection of searching a hard drive.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for your time. I thank you so much for answering my questions. Your Honor, those are my questions for this witness.
Any redirect, Mr. Yalamanchili?
No, Judge.
May this witness be excused. Mr. Yalamanchili, may the witness be excused.
Judge.
Any objection from Mr. Cruz?
Did you receive a subpoena from our office?
I did not.
Okay. No objection.
You are free to go, sir.
May I sit in the courtroom, Your Honor?
Yes, you can. Your testimony is over. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:30. We have gone a little bit past sort of my.
Yeah, I know there's voir dire of the DNA from the private lab, but I've been going for over 2.5 hours. Folks, I was supposed to do this for an hour and a half. I went over 2.5 hours because, yeah, I just wanted to stream and say hi to folks live, because I've been posting only videos about this trial, because I have a lot of I have work and some personal matters to attend to this week, which has limited my ability to do more. I listen to the trial. I do that. I listen to Cat, not Williams coverage. Ow, But hopefully I can do more this weekend than just posting videos. Now, folks, don't forget, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Slightly Bust fundraising stream, because habitual liar, scammer, fake pregnancy idiot Laura Owens has put an injunction on the Hey Rob YouTube channel, forcing him to hire an attorney to confront Laura's new antics. So we are getting a fundraiser together so that Hey Rob can hire a good lawyer and destroy Laura Owens in court. 5 p.m. tomorrow, Slightly Bust fundraising stream. All right, folks. This is what I had for you today. The judge still making really, really bad decision, not according to current law and statute, in my opinion, allowing the prosecution to open the door. We have witnesses who tries to help, ending up being lying in court. And then you had this final jack off claiming that, yeah, we checked his alibi. No, you fucking didn't. You trusted the words of his parents and his best friend since high school, and did jack shit nothing to see if what they claimed could actually be substantiated. Folks, thank you so much. Thank you to Kristen for becoming a new member. Thank you so much. That is so, so nice of you. And thank you to Lynn Britton for being a member for 20 months. That's longer than an elephant's pregnancy. All right, folks. I'm off to bed for a couple of hours of sleep before I have to go to work again. And you all have a good one. And don't mind Mr. Jingles doing his Only Cats moment live on stream again. All right, folks. See you in the next stream or video. Bye-bye.
Sail the raven waves, brothers. Axis high, she